Question is, are we really stupid?
You know, people who vote your way.
Because these liars believe that we're stupid.
Hey, if you cause them
And if you are a believer, you are a liar and you're stupid.
pain, how does that work exactly? How does hurting people build political support? I think it's a backward strategy. Again, it's like ransom, right? Vote for us, or else we'll take things away from you. I don't know, I just can't wrap my head around it. In my personal opinion, I'm forecasting a fierce disaster for Democrats coming up in this election in a couple days here. I think what they're doing is not igniting, not galvanizing their base. I think they're igniting dissent, opposition. I think Jack Ciattarelli really might shock the world here. And then we're really going to see what the Democrats are up to. We'll see just how far they're willing to take this. Because again, if they lose massively, if they flop big time in this upcoming election, well, how they react is going to tell us all that we need to know. If they continue to double down, if they throw a little tantrum, a little hissy fit, that's going to reveal the ugly frickin' truth of just how heartless this political party is. I guess at this point we have nothing else to do except for wait till, Wednesday, Thursday, midday. Let's see what happens. Let's see what the next Democrat psyop is going to be. If they take.
This is tonight in Washington, D.C.'s Navy Yard. Youths have taken over the streets. National Guard are practically powerless as they're not armed with crowd control munitions and can't make arrests. That must change. Take back DC. But guys, I want to show you this. And then I have something to show you that's really shocking. I mean, this is shocking, but you're not going to believe the response of the mayor in DC. I promise you it's going to blow your mind. But let's take a listen and a look at what's going on here in DC. So as you can see, a bunch of YNs, that's what they call them, young ninjas is what we call them, okay? That's what the black community calls them, YNs. Just acting a fool, acting a complete mess. Now you remember when all of the left and Democrats were like, we don't need the National Guard, we don't need anything to help, we don't need this, that, and the other, because DC's under control, nothing, no problem, they're just trying to hurt black people and all this other stuff. Remember that? Well, look at this. Now, this popped up on my timeline last night, and I had to double check to make sure. Wait, this is coming from Muriel Bowser, the mayor of DC, the very left Democrat, establishment Democrat, DNC, BC. Yes, this is what she says. We are declaring a limited juvenile curfew in Washington, D.C., effective immediately. All juveniles under the age of 18 are subject to a curfew from 11 p.m. until 6 a.m., which will extend through 11/5. Well, you're going to need it longer than that, sweetheart. You're going to need it longer than that. Now, the National Guard is set to be there until February. It's been extended till then. But remember they said they were just going to round up and corral black people into concentration camps in D.C. That's what the National Guard was going to do. No, they were there for a specific purpose. But they can't do anything about this. They can't do crowd control with juveniles. Okay, they can't do that. And so they're there protecting the streets, cleaning it up, and it's gotten a lot better. But still, even with all that, this is what's going on. They are not there to replace police. They are not there to replace these elected leaders, as everyone was claiming. That was the panic. Remember, that was the talking point. We cycle through new talking points, new panic every other week. So, because they need something to throw at the wall to make sure it sticks, but it never does. So then she continues, this is in response to several weeks, guys, several weeks of disorderly juvenile behavior which endangered both themselves and others. Then she finished up. The chief of police is also authorized to designate special curfew zones for use under 18 beginning 6 p.m. Wow, wow, wow. I am color me shocked, color me shocked. There's more to get into this. I want to, let me show you guys this, okay? And I'm going to, hold on one second. All right, so this is the news report. And it says, DC enacts citywide curfew for minors after weeks of violence and unrest. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has announced a citywide curfew for anyone under the age of 18 beginning Saturday night in response to weeks of ongoing violence and unrest. The move comes just a few months after President Trump mobilized thousands of National Guard troops who were deployed to the nation's capital to combat what he describes as a crisis of crime. Bowser's order, which runs through November 5th, allows police to set up special zones. Okay, we already read that. 4 of the zones will go into effect on Saturday. They include Canada Recreation Center, Union Station, Navy Yard, and U Street Corridor. The limited curfew goes into effect Saturday at 11 p.m. Local time it ends at 6 a.m. Any minor or juvenile who violates the curfew will face a fine of up to $300 or up to 10 days in jail, according to authorities. Oh, now, who's the one locking up black people? Who's the one locking up black people? Now, so this is another video that's on in the Navy Yard. Let me open this up. Do you know that it's the National Guard out there trying to chase these people down, these youths, chase them down to try to get some order in there? I don't know, I don't see much of the police out there. Yeah, you see the flashing lights behind, but they're not the ones out there chasing. Those are men and women in uniforms trying to get the youth under control. Remember, we don't have a problem. We just want to lock up black people. No, I don't want to hear that anymore. Okay? Because understand, this is lawlessness. This is chaos. This is unrest. And who's going to get it under control? Because clearly, DC doesn't know what the hell it's doing. Just like most of these blue cities. They want to claim all this racism and oppression and all of that. This is what you get with these leaders. They don't give a damn. You think they really give a damn? But while that is going on, guys, I got more for you. We got to talk about how we got to get back into SNAP and what's going on with that, because look at this. Look at this guy. Not in just SNAP. Actually, before we get into SNAP, let's take a look at this one, because this is absolutely insane. Because we're going to get into the voter fraud that's going on and the illegals and illegal voting, which all ties back to SNAP and what the Democrats are doing. Okay? And so it says voter fraud alert. This guy just admitted he was on his way to illegally vote for Mamdani 6 times. 6 times. I live in NYS, in New York State, and there's no ID requirement. You just sign your name. He could just lie about his address and vote in multiple precincts. This is a Class E felony punishable by up to 4 years in state prison per count. So if he indeed voted 6 times, that's up to 24 years behind bars. Let's see if they actually do anything about it, because we've seen these stories before. We know that this happens, and then these people just get away with it. Nothing happens to them. Nothing at all.
about to illegally vote for Zoran Mamdani 6 times. Yeah, phone calls and text messages 6. Tell our neighbors to get people riled.
So there you have it. Voting illegally 6 times in New York. This is happening in California. This is happening everywhere. They purposely put laws on the books so that this stuff can happen. This is what they want. They want unrest and chaos. But listen, now let's get back into the whole snap thing, okay? Let's get back into the whole snap thing. Listen to what this brother has to say about it. Listen to what he has to say.
If the temporary removal of government benefits has done anything, it has exposed the extent to which dependency has been institutionalized. If you pay attention, the system's strength has never been in its generosity, but in its ability to make self-sufficiency seem impossible. It's almost like people don't recognize that dependency is the most efficient form of control. When the governed needs to rely on the governing to sustain their existence, authority no longer needs to demand obedience. It's voluntary. And let's be clear, what we are watching today is not a financial disruption. It's a revelation of how power sustains itself through engineered reliance. By the way, for all my protesters, this isn't about race. Power has no favorite complexion. It only favors those who forget they can stand on their own. But let me give you perspective. A system that feeds you also decides when you're hungry. Self-sufficiency is not a privilege, it's a birthright. Understand this, no matter what you are expected to receive, you are loyal to a system that is not invested in your well-being. It is invested in your continuation as a dependent. Yes, I am aware that assistance is sought out for many different reasons. A benefit card can keep dinner on the table, but it's also going to escort your confidence out the kitchen with it. The meal appears, yes, but the memory of your own capability is going to leave with it. And I say this to you as someone who's already been there where the help feels necessary. But what most people don't recognize when they're inside is the same system that's willing to give you assistance is the same system prepared to criminalize you when your need turns into an action. There's a great saying that goes, hunger is temporary, but the consequences to how you respond to it can last a lifetime.
And speaking of those consequences, look at this. Look at this. An entire family, they have their kid, little toddler out there robbing the store. Look.
Well, you got the whole team. Help me. No EBT. So you got to.
Look, having this little toddler teaching her to steal because you're not getting your EBT. This is what the white man did to you. The white man had your child. It's one thing if you're going to steal, right? It's one thing if you want to take that risk, get locked up and away from your children. Okay, fine. But then to have your children involved in the crime, how disgusting, how trifling. I don't want to hear a damn person get up here and say, well, they're trying to hurt black people. Really, she's hurting black people, her own black child. Like, really? Really? But see, this is what Democrats want. They want this type of unrest. They want this foolishness to go on. They want you dependent on the government while they shut it down. The person you need to blame for this are the Democrats, the DNC, the establishment Democrats. They said they know families will go hungry, but we need the leverage. We need the leverage. And who do they need the leverage for? Is the leverage for us? Is the leverage for the American people, black, brown, or whatever? No. The leverage that they want is so this can go on, okay? This can go on. Because understand, your black ass is not their voter base. The new voter base are illegals and immigrants. That's who they care about. That's what this whole thing is about. I'm giving you report after report after report, so you could deny it all you want, but you are living in Delulu land, fantasy. You're just eating up whatever the DNC vomits out, and you're calling it a meal.
He's brilliant. He's going to be working to make sure that individuals who got Social Security numbers in this country should be using them for the right things, and they shouldn't be on our benefit programs. You know, we have over 6,000 individuals that have been identified through their work already that have been on the terrorist watch list. The they are known criminals.
Setting up,
They should-
Madam Secretary.
It happens when you put a train wreck like Joe Biden in the White House, and it's going to be a lot of work to clean it up. But just in the last 4.5 years, we've had over 9 million people get Social Security numbers that are not U.S. citizens. So they may be people who have some sort of legal status, but a lot of them are illegals that were given a Social Security number in just the last 4.5 years that we're going to have to figure out if they should be here, if they are here legally under a program, and if they are here illegally, then they certainly shouldn't be using that Social Security number to be on our programs, and they should be removed or given the opportunity to go home on their own. That's the one thing President Trump would like, is everybody to be given the opportunity to go home if they would wish to.
As you know,
Okay? So, you see that 9 million Social Security numbers to illegals in 4 years. What? Because if you're a legal immigrant, you will get a Social Security number, right? But we're talking about illegals are getting Social Security numbers. Why are they getting that? They're so brazen now and don't give a damn. Look at this. This is crazy. A group of illegals occupying Chicago apartment buildings have formed a union. They formed a union. Illegals now have a union. And are refusing to pay rent, citing ICE raids and fear of working outside the house for their inability to pay the hikes under the new landlord. What? What? What?
The courtyard of a Rogers Park apartment complex echoed with the voices of renters and tenant advocates, united in protest against what they described extreme rent hikes and unsafe living conditions across several buildings around Fargo and Damon Avenues. And it's from buildings owned by the same landlord, who together form a union known as Fuerzas Activas de la Damon.
En estos momentos en que ICE está aterrorizando a nuestra gente,
Right now that ICE is terrorizing our community, our landlord is trying to nearly double the rent, says another longtime renter. Tenants say ramped up immigration enforcement has made it challenging for them to go to work.
This means they're losing wages, and that means that it's going to be much more difficult for them going forward to pay rent.
They currently pay between $900 and $1,500 a month, and as of October, they're facing rent increases of $600 to $700. The union has made efforts to reach an agreement with the landlord, calling for necessary repairs, limiting rent hikes to $50 per year, and protecting tenants from eviction. They warn that if the requests are not met, they are prepared to strike.
It's more than just rent. It's a fight for dignity, for justice, and for community, for all tenants across the city.
Tenants say if their landlord doesn't address their demands, they'll move forward with a rent strike starting November 1st.
A rent strike? That's called not paying your rent and get the hell out. A rent strike? This is what illegals are doing. This is how brazen and bold they are. The American people are going hungry. The Democrat establishment are defending them, fighting for their rights. That's what this whole slap is about. That's what the whole government shutdown is about. Watching a video after video.
Alright, Fresh Mito. We'll start simple. Head over to the docks and pick up a delivery. I'll fill you in on the way.
That's right. You over Joe Biden? No. Who has emboldened them to do this? They put a whole press conference. You have to think about this. Their side. They rolled the mics, but listen.
So, the freak shop's up and running. Cousin Wade steered us right. This place is kick-ass, and it's ours now. But guess who the neighbors are? Plus fucking MC. That's all we left them behind in Blaine County. But they got a clubhouse right down the block. Naturally, I took a piss in their gas tanks just to break the ice. Feeling alright? Me and the trooper played a welcome to the neighborhood party. New order for the essentials. You know, wings,
Point of the federal judge, the federal judge named a food administration reinstates food stamps. White Tennessee also ruled that Democrats need to reopen the government physical. And he's concerned about the 40+ million Americans who are not going to have food stamps. I'm also concerned about the 12,000 FAA employees who are not getting paid, about the 2.2 million military members not getting paid, about the 2.5 billion in SBA loans that are not getting distributed. And the bottom line is that Republicans have voted 13 times to Queen CR, and the Democrats will not do it, and it's because Chuck Schumer thinks
But that's a
every day
argument. That's
it's getting
disingenuous.
better
It's
for
not,
him.
it's not just solely just the Democrats. In fact, there is reserve. We know that there's reserve that can be used to make sure that these
Agreed. So, and they remove it to do.
But the reality is that this is an issue. So you're saying, do I have to make a choice between SNAP benefits or health care? Like, why do we have to make that choice in this big, beautiful America that we live in? It's not fair just to say it's a Democratic issue. It's
And then debate after we put us together.
But it's not just a Democratic issue. That's a disingenuous argument. We should not be on any side in this issue. This is about people who won't be able to eat. 42 million Americans that can't eat. Children who will not be able to. But it's not about the government. It's not a fair choice. Fair choice.
We have that funding and funding for everything else if the Democrats are willing to vote. This Fetterman has even said he's called out his own party. Democrats are losing the biggest union for entire under
You see how she didn't want to. She didn't want to talk about. She didn't, was just like, well, that's disingenuous to say. She can't say she's wrong. She can't say she's wrong because across the board, everyone knows what the Democrats do. Oh, it's about health care. It's about health care. I have brought you videos about it. I'm going to have to do another breakdown with all the facts, lay it all out. So every time you hear this mess, every time you hear these lies, you're going to know that they are lying on purpose. She's lying on purpose. She's like, it makes it. Even the false equivalence that she's making there, well, it's disingenuous. It's a choice between healthcare and a choice between that. Obamacare is. Are your premiums low? Obamacare help you in any kind of way? No, things are. They are fighting to keep illegals, the same ones who are getting all of this welfare, all of this cash. They're getting daycare vouchers. They're getting Section 8 housing. They're getting all of these different things. They're actually fighting to keep them getting healthcare coverage. They're not fighting for you. They're not fighting for me. They would never, this idea that they have allowed the government to shut down, people to go hungry, people to not be able to pay their bills, Americans not being able to pay their bills. The idea that they've done all that just so they can make sure that the illegals, their new voting bloc, is protected through Medicaid, even though you aren't even. Like you have states like Illinois where healthcare is 100% free for an illegal. It's not free for you. You still have to pay your premiums. You still have to pay anything that's outside of your premium. Only you have to fucking lost again. They don't have to pay a damn thing. Not a premium, not a hospital, not a medical bill, anywhere in sight. Because you know who pays for it? The American taxpayer. Well, let's finish up here because when we talk about what's going on, okay? Now, with DC, you saw the unrest. We're bringing it back to DC. You saw what was going on. I've shown you how all of these different things that they do, all of these different protests and things, these are all funded by billionaires. These are all planned. It's not organic. You saw No Kings, where they were literally busing in people from nursing homes, geriatric care. They're thinking they're going on a little field trip. No. You're going to the No Kings. That's what it is. Preposterous. And then we can get into how Walmart funded No King's Day, but yet they're the biggest beneficiary of SNAP. The list goes on and on and on and on. But they are planning to protest while DC is in chaos, while the youth are running the streets, committing crimes where they've had to enact this curfew, right? And they were complaining about this. How could you bring in the National Guard? How could you do this? How could you do? They are still. I want you to see this. These white, woke liberals that want more chaos. They're planning a new protest in DC while this is all going on. And notice the date. Notice the date. The curfew is supposed to end on the 5th. Look what day the protest is planned for. The 5th. You think that's a coincidence? Do you think that's a coincidence? You see how they're all working together and trying to create.
Once you get to the clubhouse, start sniffing around. I want to know what they're up to. Take a picture of whatever it is. Plans, files, crayon doodles, fucking macaroni, I don't care. Just send it to me.
Washington, D.C. Span can surround the White House, surround the Capitol, surround the Supreme Court, non-stop, everything. organized. We highlight one single demand Trump wants to go now. Again, conversation towards Supreme Court. We need to rise up for millions right now, waiting on November 5th. Get squad on NBC if you can. Come organize with us. We're charting a plan to get 50 ways we can. If you can't organize with us, support our organization so we can send as many people that we can to get to Washington, D.C. We're a nationwide organization. We have organized all over the country. So we need to stand behind the
whiteboard, huh? These guys are so boring. I'm not able to afford the analysis of it. We'll find something we can use. Hey, if you see anything else we can sell to cover our losses, grab it and bring it back home.
August 20th. September 20th is we are having an organized drive to, the sound of the Action Network. It's right here. So Saturday, September 20th, 4 p.m. DM us at Refuse Fashions in LA on Instagram for the location, or you can email SoCal@refusefashions.com.
Okay, just a bunch of BS. Look at these white liberals. They really care. They really care, guys. They really care. They really care about you. Really? Really? They're this. They're just going to protest. And you know what? DC, black DC, you have the unrest, all of these different things, and crying fascism. I don't know what's more fascist than to hold the government hostage. Hold the government hostage so that you can make sure illegals eat, so you can make sure they get their cash, so you can make sure that they get everything from the American taxpayer, while the Americans get nothing. We get less than nothing. They don't give a damn. The fascism that they talk about is what they do. See, every accusation, okay, everything they say, that's a projection of what they're actually doing. And this is going to fail, like every other protest of foolishness that they've done out there. Remember the protests or against ICE? It was all in the streets. I mean, they've tried everything. They throw everything at the wall. Nothing sticks, and they're not solving any real problems. They're creating them. And you have to understand, it's all so that they can win votes. There is a report by Axios and Chuck Schumer saying, well, maybe we'll agree to stop the shutdown after the election on Tuesday. Axios is not a right-wing outlet. There's some insiders that the plan is maybe not even guarantee, we'll stop the shutdown, meaning it's in the Democrats' hands to stop this shutdown, to get the government going, to get money back into the people's hands, whether it's SNAP benefits, welfare, all of that, and also getting our troops paid, getting all of the federal workers who are not getting paid, all of these different people. Because understand, guys, just because it's federal workers and people receiving SNAP, understand this is going to have tendrils into all parts of American life. Okay, this is the biggest season that retail stores make their money. This is how they pay their employees. And we're talking about millions of employees, online shopping, everything. This is all designed so that we can have more economic disaster.
Yep.
So they can turn and point and say, look, Trump bad. He did this. He caused a shutdown. He didn't give you your
This happened under Donald Trump president.
He caused the economy to do this. Are you starting to get it? It's all a game. None of it's real. They don't give a damn about any of us.
Yep.
And I always say it's always two heads to the same snake when it comes to government. But what you have to do is weed out who, even if you don't agree with someone on everything, which I surely don't, but who is actually fighting for real values, family values, really less government, things to put more power in the people's hands. And when you look at the two heads, you see which one is doing the actual work to destroy, to actively destroy America.
Them Democrats. America is not free for them.
People to be out there doing civil unrest. They want, like I said, your black ass shot up.
Yep.
They want you go and steal food and to act a fool in DC because this is all they have. So with that, guys, make sure you subscribe, like this video, share it with someone who does not know the truth.
I got your girlfriend. I know they're gonna do me that. What I'm gonna do is this. Go to one.